What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through the ultimate guide to the upcoming double game week 34. Now I'm probably going to title this video the Free Hit Ultimate Guide because if you like myself, I activated the chip a few days ago, and therefore double game week 34 is going to be free at week. Now don't worry, this video is going to be still relevant to those of you that aren't on the chip. For example, if I talk about a player that I want to select on my free hit, you guys can always bring them in with those free transfers as you're probably going to wildcard next week anyways. So in this ultimate guide, I'll be going over the usual talking points, the stats review, as well as the Captaincy Debate. Is it as cut and dry as most Salah for double game week 34? Then I've also added a ranking of the fixtures for double game week 34 in terms of attack and defense, and I'll be going through those 1 to 7. So that's something you guys are interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So the stats review this week is going to be super important on my free hit. I want to select teams with great attacking numbers and very strong defensive numbers, and it's kind of getting the best balance between those with your selections. So if you guys are new to these ultimate guides, I'll be going over the defensive numbers and their attacking ones from an all-season scope as well as the last 6 games at a minimum for the form ratings. And all these stats are going to be from Fantasy Football Fix, and they're going to be per 90 minutes, as some teams have played more games and some teams have played less games. So for example, let's go over the attacking numbers first from an all-season point of view. And on the left-hand side, the top 6 attacks are going to be Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle, Arsenal, Spurs, and finally Chelsea. So Chelsea have entered this ranking after a pretty strong previous few game weeks, and when they just scored 6 goals against Everton. Now the stat of choice I used is XG non-penalty. Don't really like to include the penalty, so yes, this is the Chelsea assets, Cole Palmer specifically, without penalties, and still putting up some pretty good numbers. Now these teams are quite expected, all of them have had pretty strong Premier League seasons, and the standout there is going to be Liverpool, and that's why I'm kind of going for their assets as a double up on attack. Now Arsenal are 4th, and they have some pretty good stats as well, but I'm pretty sure most of us are going for at least one Arsenal attacker. Now the one thing I want to point out here, and it's going to be a reminder for those of us on the free hit, just because a team only has one single game, doesn't mean they can't outperform double game week players. Nicely ranked there, Man City and Newcastle, probably the 2 assets I'm most afraid of, Erling Haaland and Isaac, as their games aren't too shabby to be honest. So I guess let's pick our poison on the free hit. Are we going to be going for an Erling Haaland and Isaac? Probably not. So fingers crossed the other assets can outperform them. On the right hand side, I'll be going over the worst 6 attacks. Now you guys want to target these from a defensive point of view, as these teams aren't putting up good XG numbers. So Sheffield United, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Luton, Nottingham Forest, and finally Wolves. So yes, that's right, a few of these teams have a double game week in 34. So the 2 teams mainly are Crystal Palace and Wolves. Their attacking numbers aren't great over the entire season, and that might be worrying as we are looking at a few of their assets. Now just remember, you can almost double their kind of XG output because they have a double game week, and that would put them in the top 6 kind of attacks. But still, you don't really like to see a team you have a double up in attack like a Crystal Palace being in the bottom 3 attacks, so be cautious as they might be quite underwhelming. Now I know what you guys might be saying, maybe these numbers will change in the inform stats, so let's go over the last 6 games at a minimum. Now you guys will be asking me why I'm saying minimum. Well, as I mentioned, double game weeks, blank game weeks, some teams have played quite a few fixtures, but the game week filter I chose made that the limiting factor team had the lowest amount of fixtures, which was 6. So some teams have played 8, some teams have played 7, but 6 was the minimum, so keep that in mind as we go over the per 90 stats. Now on the left hand side, Man City have improved their attack to 2.5 XG on penalty per game, and they follow closely by Liverpool on 2.43. Then a slight drop off to Newcastle, then Chelsea, Fulham, and finally Spurs, so at least the Liverpool attack has been pretty good recently. Now they might not be putting the ball in the back of the net, but the stats still look pretty strong, so if they can finish their chances in double game week 34, the double up in attack might be quite valuable. Now I also want to point out here that one of the Liverpool fixtures is going to be against Fulham, so yes, the clean sheet odds might not be that strong there, and I do expect Fulham to score at home. Now no other double game week team is going to be here besides Liverpool, and that's why I'm quite bullish on the double up in attack. On the right hand side, let's see if the teams have switched up. We've got Brighton as the lowest XG non-penalty team over the recent form, but they're also followed by Wolves, Sheffield United, and Crystal Palace. So yes, these 3 teams, Wolves, Sheffield United, and Crystal Palace, have stayed consistent over the entire season to recent form, so those are worrying signs as you are going for their attackers. So fingers crossed the double up stats do come in clutch, as I've seen most free hits include some of these attackers. So once again, heed caution. I'm not saying don't go for these options, we basically have to with the double game weeks, but maybe lower those expectations. Any surprises here from the attacking point of view that you guys have picked out with those free transfers, or if you guys are on the free hit, are you now second guessing maybe a Cunha from Wolves with those bad attacking stats? But now let's jump onto the defensive numbers and see if that switches things up. So once again, over the entire season, I'll be going over expected clean sheets to rank the best defenses, and Arsenal at the top there with 0.49. They follow closely by Man City at 0.42, so definitely these two teams are the best defenses, but I see that Liverpool are also on this list. Now these stats are kind of the reason I'm going for double up on the Arsenal defense versus the attack, and why I prefer the Liverpool attack versus the defensive double up. I just feel like Arsenal have the best defense clearly in the Prem at the moment, and that's why I want to back them with going for two of their defenders. Otherwise, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle and Brighton are on this list, and that's actually quite surprising over this entire season. Now on the right hand side, you're going to target these teams according to XG conceded. I've switched up the stat here. I want to see when they are losing the clean sheet, how many goals are they conceding. And at the top is going to be Luton, Sheffield United, West Ham, Man United, Burnley and finally Fulham. So once again, Fulham, even though their attack has been pretty good defensively, they aren't that strong. Once again, a reason to go for the Liverpool double up in attack. Now I don't really think many people are going for the Sheffield United defenders, but they are facing United, so their attackers might be better than the defenders. And then you guys see Burnley next up, who Sheffield United also face. So that's why you guys can see why some people are taking a punt on a Diaz in midfield or McBurney up front. You kind of have to with United and Burnley on the radar. So let me know what you guys think about these all-season stats, and has this helped you with your free hit decisions? Now let's see if the informed stats have kind of shake things up. Once again, left-hand side expected clean sheets, Arsenal yet again at the top, but followed by Liverpool at 0.4. So that defense has improved recently. It's a very kind of tough debate who to kind of go for, the double up in defense or the double up in attack. I mean, you guys aren't going to be going for 4 defenders, are you, on a free hit? So let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Then we have Newcastle, Man City, Nottingham Forest and finally Spurs. So that Man City defense has dropped down a little bit. Now on the right hand side, you're going to see that United's defensive form recently is the reason that they're one of the worst defenses. I mean, 3xG per game is pretty terrible. So once again, that's where you're taking a punt on Sheffield United attackers. Fingers crossed they actually pay off. We then have Luton, West Ham, Everton, Aston Villa and finally Brighton. Just want to shout out Everton here because if you are going for a Pickford, he might get a few saves. Unfortunately, that's what you're going to have to rely on, saves, not clean sheets I believe, as I can't see Everton keeping too many in double game week 34. So let me know what you guys think. Has this kind of changed your free decisions as mentioned, your free transfers maybe? If you guys want to go over some more stats, go over to Fantasy Football Fix, the Opta Stats Sandbox, every stat that you could desire. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments down below on my Discord server, where I'm slightly more active as I always like to talk to you guys about FPL. Now the next talking point is going to be a kind of ranking of the fixtures from an attacking and a defensive point of view, using the all-season stats as well as the inform numbers. So I want to bring up the fixtures on screen of the double game week teams. The reason I'm doing this is on a free hit as well as with those free transfers. What fixtures and teams should you guys prioritize? And this will change whether you're targeting an attacker or defender. So let's go over those attacking numbers first, and from an all-season scope, what's the ranking from 1 to 7? Well, as you guys can see, according to the numbers, what I did was I took the kind of XG non-penalty of the team versus the XG conceded of their opponents, then added them together to give a score. So from all-season stats, you got Liverpool at the top with an expectation. I mean, Fulham and Everton are great games, especially with those good Liverpool attacking numbers, and they're followed by Arsenal with the second spot. So definitely the top 2 teams I would target, and kind of nailing that triple up is going to be essential. And then we have Bournemouth coming in third. So that's why I have seen some free drafts without Dom Solanke, but I think that might be quite crazy, and I'd recommend going from up front. Now interestingly enough, we've got Everton with the 4th spot, and I've hardly seen many Everton attackers in those free hits. I personally might not go for them, haven't seen that kind of best attacking form out of them, and even though they're 4th in terms of the rankings, that might be a miss. Now the 5th spot, surprisingly, is actually Crystal Palace. I think that they would have been slightly higher, but I think this might be owed to the fact that the Crystal Palace attack hasn't been great, even though West Ham and Newcastle have been shipping a few goals recently. Then lastly, we've got Sheffield United. I think that's also because of their bad attacking numbers. And finally, Wolves at the 7th spot. Now I do believe Wolves are here because of that kind of low XG conceded of Arsenal. It's almost a write-off for me in that fixture, but they could be quite tired after this Champions League football. Let's see if the informed stats shake things up. The number 1, 2 and 3 don't change. However, now Sheffield United are 4th. So now you guys can understand why with this informed stats that Sheffield United punts might be quite attractive. And I'm personally looking at taking one in terms of their attackers. Then 5th is going to be Crystal Palace yet again. Now we see Everton 6th and Wolves yet again 7th. So some shake-up has actually happened. Now, if you guys want to get my kind of attacking conclusion, I definitely favour Liverpool at the top, then Arsenal. Bournemouth, Dom Solanke is a no-brainer, but then Crystal Palace and Sheffield United is where your kind of midfield and your forwards will be completed. And I'm avoiding Everton and Wolves at the moment. You guys might have a different rating though. As mentioned, this is purely from the stats point of view. You might do it and your ranking might change. Now let's go over the defensive numbers like we did the attacking ones over the entire season. Yet again, you could have predicted it's Arsenal at the top, and they're followed by Liverpool and Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth is actually the interesting one for me because I haven't really gone for many kind of Bournemouth defenders at the moment, but maybe a Neto between the sticks could be quite a good selection. I just kind of feel like Aston Villa and Wolves are two tough games away from home, but the Bournemouth defensive numbers actually haven't been that terrible. Fourth is going to be Crystal Palace, and that's my current goalkeeper, Henderson. I've seen some people go for a Muniz as well as a Mitchell. They're good selections. And then we have Everton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. Now, to be honest, I haven't really seen many kind of options going for Wolves or Sheffield United, so that's quite predictable. But I've seen Pickford in some people's teams. Now, in terms of the informed stats, we've had some shake-up here, but the top three, yet again, are cemented. Arsenal, Liverpool, and finally Bournemouth, and they're now followed by Sheffield United. So is a Sheffield United defender the one to actually look at? It might be an outside punt if you want to go for the goalkeeper. That's probably where my punt would extend. But will we see Sheffield United actually keep a clean sheet? We then have Crystal Palace. Wolves are no longer 6th. That's going to be Everton. So just a reminder, these are kind of defensive numbers, and some interesting insights have actually been gauged here. One thing to look out for might be that Sheffield United defense, however I might not go there to be honest. I think this kind of cements my thoughts on the Arsenal defensive double up or the attacking double up, as well as the Liverpool one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, or you can even just post your free draft or your latest one, or as mentioned on my Discord server, link in the description. Now, the last talking point before Captaincy is going to be a reminder about the Champions League plus the Europa. So coming up tonight is Arsenal as well as Man City, and just watch out for any injury news coming from that. The big news, however, will come out on Thursday in the Liverpool game, as that starting 11 is going to be integral to your team selection on the free hit. Also on those free transfers, maybe if you're looking to bring in a Luis Diaz or a Darwin or even a Trent, I don't really know what I'm expecting out of that starting 11 though. What do you guys think is better, if Trent starts the game and gets 60 minutes, or if he comes off the bench for the last 30? To be honest, I might actually prefer if he gets the first 60 minutes. I want to see that he's actually match fit after coming off at halftime on the weekend, and that was for the injured Connor Bradley. Now since then, we've got news that Bradley will be out for about 3 weeks, but Joe Gomez could also play at right back. So it's a very kind of tough lineup to go for. As mentioned, there's different scenarios. Some people might say it's good that Trent's benched, some people might say it's good that he's starting, but I'll be watching more out for the attackers to be honest. With the dip in form of Darwin Núñez, I want to see if Gakpo and Jota actually performs well against Atalanta, as if they do, I believe his spot's in jeopardy. Luis Diaz, in my opinion, is pretty nailed in the starting 11, but who kind of knows, maybe we'll have some Klopp roulette. But as mentioned, watch out for that injury news coming up tonight, as well as the team selection tomorrow for Liverpool, as that'll determine our free hit picks. Now the last talking point is going to be all about Captaincy. Is it actually Mo Salah this game week, or is there another option? Well, according to Fix, he's actually second place. The first place option, or the highest projected point scorer, is actually Saka at 11.5. Now Saka and Arsenal play tonight. Let's just see if Saka comes out of that game uninjured, as if he does, Fix is projecting him to score the most points. Now my favorite Salah is probably going to be the highest owned option and captain option, and he's projected to score less at 11.3. So not the biggest difference in the world. I think this is going to come down to expected minutes, as well as what you guys think about the fixtures, and I believe that the Fulham and Everton game are better. I do think though they score against Wolves, I do think they score against Chelsea, and therefore Saka might be the best Captaincy option to be honest. I do think these two will be the most popular options, but if you guys do want to go differential, Eze might be a pick, as he has 2 home games against West Ham and Newcastle. But you guys can see the projected points are a lot lower at 7.1, so definitely is a risk kind of going for him. Now there are other selections to obviously look at. You guys go for literally anyone that has a double game week, or you guys going for a single game week option. Let me know in the comments down below who's your captain for double game week 34. There are a few different strategies. But stay tuned tomorrow for my team selection of my final free hit draft, and make sure that you guys in the deadline stream coming up on Saturday, 1 hour before the deadline. Now if you guys have any talking points you want me to cover or help on your free hit drafts, comment it down below, or on my Discord server where I am slightly more active. But this is basically a wrap for the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you have subscribed yet. And I'll see you guys for the final team selection coming up tomorrow. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's me, Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.